Hello, class, and welcome to Virtual Learning with Miss Alonso. I'm just kidding, that's not what it's called, but I thought it was cute. Anyways, I recorded this video because I am gone today, as you can see, and I don't want us to lose instructional time with the multiplication unit because we do have to move on to geometry next week. So I realized that maybe I should record a video for you so that way you're not losing practice, you're not losing focus, or I can help you with anything that you seem to be confused with. But what we're going to be focusing on today is we're going to review area model, then we're going to talk about partial products, and then we're going to move to standard algorithm, which is our focus. Like I said, this is a strategy you need to master by the end of the year because in 5th grade, it's the only strategy that you can use. But during 4th grade, you can use area model partial product. However, I noticed a couple mistakes that we made in our activities this past week. And these mistakes are not too big, meaning I understand that I could see that you get the process and you get how to break up the numbers, how to decompose them, and how to multiply using area model and partial product. However, the mistakes that I see is such simple things like adding or multiplying the wrong numbers. And we have to remember that I gave you a multiplication chart and the facts are on the wall, so you cannot forget about the tools that I've given you. And there's nothing wrong, like I said plenty of times before, using these tools because these are going to help you in the long run. These tools are going to empower you to continue to do well. So we are going to focus on the mistakes that we made and the ways that we can get better, right? So what you're going to need is you're going to need a X-Bit marker and a tissue. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to get those two things, and then we're going to get started. Strategy that we're going to be practicing is 45 times 62. So go ahead and write 45 times 62 on your table, and also go ahead and draw your rectangle, okay? Because many times it's already given to us, but sometimes we have to draw it. Well, you have to draw it if you want to use the strategy. So the first thing we do after drawing a rectangle is breaking 45 or factors, right, or decomposing them into its place value. So we're going to write 45 to 40 plus 5 because we know that 4 is in the tens place and the 5 is in the ones place. So you wrote 40 plus 5 and 60 plus 2. And then after we decompose these numbers, we're going to label them on our area model. 40 and 5, 62. And doesn't matter which side you pick. No, it does not matter. It's totally up to you, but make sure you are multiplying the correct numbers together. So the first thing we're going to do is let's start off easy. Let's start off with our basic 5 times 2. We're going to multiply, right, our partial products. So we're going to first multiply 2 times 5. 2 times 5. And remember, these are called partial product. So you have to remember that in each box, there goes a partial product. You cannot forget about one or another. So 2 times 5 is right? We have one partial product right here. And then our second step is to multiply 2 times 40, right? 2 times 40. Do you see how it's kind of like a multiplication chart? You have to make sure each number fights against the other number. So 40 times 2. 40 times 2. And remember when I say that each number gets multiplied by the other one? You have to remember that you're not going to multiply 40 times 5 because that's the same number, or 60 times 2 because that's the same number. I meant each other, like both tens and the 10 and the 1s. The 10 and the 1s and then both 1s. Okay? So 40 times 2. Now, one of the first lessons that we did was box and balance our zeros, and this is where we make mistakes. We're not balancing our zeros correctly. So remember, I want you to go ahead and write the partial product inside the box. Do not multiply in your head because then that confuses you and you put 8 instead of an 80, right? Because you forgot to box and balance the zero in your head. So if you want to multiply in your head, you've got to remember, how many zeros do I have? So I'm going to write that down. 1. And then multiply the factors. 4 times 2, which is 8. Okay, so you have to remember to box and balance your zeros. This is where I found most mistakes, balancing these zeros, okay? So make sure you write that partial product inside, just like I did, 40 times 2. And then we're going to multiply 60 times 5. 60 times 5. Remember, I wrote my partial product down. I'm going to go ahead and balance my zero so I know that I don't lose it, okay? And then 6 times 5 is 30. Good job. So do you see how if I box and balance my zeros first, I'm not going to get confused by the 0 and the 30, because a lot of us, and this was one of the common mistakes I saw, is that we know 6 times 5 is 30, right? And then we put 30, but then we forgot the other 0. 6 times 5 is 30, but 60 times 5 is 300. So that is the mistake I saw. Y'all multiplied the factors correctly, but then you forgot a 0. So that made your answer completely wrong. So you have to remember to box and balance your zeros. And then last but not least, we're going to multiply 60 times 40. So go ahead and multiply 60 times 40, and I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to write my partial product, 60 times 40. I'm going to go ahead and balance, okay? This is important. Balance your zeros. So I have 2 zeros, so I'm going to go ahead and write my 2 zeros like this. I hope you're doing it. And then I'm going to multiply my factors. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so I got 2,480, 310. If you agree, show me surf's up. Okay, so now we are going to add our partial products, right? Now, if this is a little hint, most times the number inside this box, the partial product inside this box, it's gonna be 1,000 number because you're multiplying 2 tens, and depending on the tens, it's gonna be 1,000 numbers. So you have to pay attention to that. Many of us left off a 0, so we got like 240, which made our product wrong. So make sure you box and balance those zeros. So I'm gonna go ahead and add up my numbers, okay? And I think I can add them up at the bottom. So I'm going to add up 2,400. Now this is important. If you didn't use the line paper the way I showed you, go ahead and start using that, because when we're adding up incorrectly because we're not lining them up. They look like this. And you already know, boo-boo, we don't like that. So we're writing 2,400, and then I'm going to go ahead and write 300 with my purple marker. And then 80 and 10. Plus 10. And my product is zeros all the way down, so it's 0. 8 plus 1 is 9. 4 plus 3 is 7. And bring down the 2. So my product is 2,000. And I'm going to write my product big over here. Equals 2,790. That was my product, 2,790. Now, again, the main focus that I want you to get out of this, or the main idea I want you to get out of this, is that you box and balance your zeros. Box and balance your zeros. That was one of the first lessons we learned. Go ahead, write the partial product, meaning write this number sentence down, 60 times 40. Do not multiply in your head. Write it down for me, okay? And then balance your zeros and multiply the factors. And that way you do not make a mistake. Because if it was a 5 and a 4, if it was 50 times 40, we would put like a 200, but it's really 2,000, right? Because 5 times 4 is 20, so it already has that 0. Regardless, box and balance, write my partial product sentence down, multiply using the tools that I give you, and then, last but not least, add them up correctly. You gotta line them up, okay? So this was one example for area model if you want to continue using it. Okay, so the second strategy that we're going to be focusing on is partial product, which I know a lot of you like to use it. But again, if you're going to use this, you have to be very organized. You have to be very detailed, because it's going to make you make simple mistakes like the multiplication or the adding. So you have to make sure you're very, very organized. Get that line paper, turn it around, and use that, okay? If you want to use partial product. So the first thing that we're going to do is write 47 times 86. Go ahead and write 47 times 86 on your table. And make sure you're going with me and you're not rushing, because we all need practice together, right? Together, we're better at it. So after you write 47 times 26, the first thing we're going to do is decompose the number, right? Break it up. So we're going to write 40 plus 7 and 80 plus 6. Now, if we remember the story, our Halloween story, right, about little Susie and little Johnny, our first step, and this ties into standard algorithm, that's why I want you to make sure you're paying attention to those steps, is to multiply up. So we first start in the ones, right? We always start in the ones, because remember, that's the basic, that's the foundation of all numbers, the ones. And we multiply up, 6 times 7. So I'm going to go ahead and write 6 times 7. Okay? Go multiply up. 6 times 7. I'm going to go ahead and write my partial products down, so we remember where to multiply. 6 times 7 up. We're multiplying up. Ones times the ones. Okay, and I want you to pay attention how this ties into standard algorithm, because it does. So we multiply up 6 times 7, and then little Susie goes across, right? Diagonal to the house. So I got orange, which is should on purple. So I'm writing 6 times 40. Okay. 6 times 40. I'm running out of room. Sorry, there's like so much stuff on the walls, so I had to figure out a good place. 6 times 40. Now, notice how I write the ones place first. 6 times 7 and then 6 times 40, not like 40 times 6, because I'm trying to get it in my head that I'm always going to start in the ones and multiply the ones times the ones, the ones times the tens. So that's really important for standard algorithm. So notice how I write that first. You do that too, because this number is going to appear twice, and then 80 is going to appear twice, right? So the second step is to multiply, or excuse me, the third, 80 times 7, right? The 10 times the ones. So, like I said, the bottom numbers are the ones that are going to be used, and they're going to be multiplied by each one at the top. So the bottom numbers are the ones that go first. 80 times 7. That's what I'm going to multiply next. 80 times 7. Some of us will multiply 80 times 6, but again, that is the same number, 86. So you cannot multiply that by itself or by the same number. 80 times 7. And then 80 times 40. And the way we did area model, it's the same way with partial product. Each number gets multiplied at least once. 80 times 40. Okay, very sorry for that ugly 40, but it's gonna do. So remember, we multiply up, across, and then Johnny goes the same order. Across, up, right? And I don't mean by the step, by like the arrows. I mean by going to the ones place first and then going to the tens place. Okay, so let's multiply. 6 times 7 is, excuse me, I'm going to give you time to answer. 42. 6 times 40 is, remember, if I have a 0, I'm going to go ahead and write that. And look how I'm lining up my numbers. You gotta line them up. A lot of you got things wrong because you didn't line them up. And without lining them correctly, we get the wrong product. So I wrote down my 0 already because I box and balance. And then 6 times 4 is 24. So I'm going to go ahead and write 20. Or if you don't want to add in the same column, go ahead and add it over here. It's okay, right? Some of y'all want to rush, but remember, efficiency, it's not about speed, but it's about accuracy, meaning you do things well, okay? And then 80 times 70, I have the 0, so I'm going to go ahead and write my 0. And then I'm going to multiply 8 times 7, which gives me 56. Okay? I'm lining them up correctly because I would rather add this way. But again, if you need to add them on the side, you may. And then 80 times 40. So I have 2 zeros. So I'm going to go ahead and write these 2 zeros. 2 zeros, 2 zeros. They have to be balanced. And then 8 times 4 is 32. 32. Again, like area model, I'm going to add up my numbers. So 2 plus 0 is 2. 4 plus 4 is 8. Plus 6 is 14. Carry my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Plus 5 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Carry my 1. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So my product is 4,046. 42. And that is my brother. So again, simple mistakes is that we did not multiply all the numbers, or we forgot to add our zeros, and we didn't line up correctly. So those are the mistakes I noticed. Either you didn't line them up, or you forgot to add your zeros, which is very important, okay? And remember that the bottom numbers are going to be multiplied by the top numbers. Each one has to be multiplied at least twice. So 6 has to be multiplied twice, and 80's got to be multiplied twice, okay? And again, if you don't like this, write it to the side and practice that. Get that line paper and turn it around, okay? So this is partial product. The last strategy that we get to focus on today is standard algorithm. I feel that half of the class loves using it, the other half doesn't. And it's okay. Remember that you can use the strategy that you prefer to solve these multiplication problems. But remember that standard algorithm is one that you have to master. Let me put tape, by the way, really quick. So we're gonna, and remember, standard algorithm is something that you're not gonna master within a day. It's within time, and it's within constant years of practice. I was talking to my family about this, to friends about teaching standard algorithm, and a lot of them were like, well, why do you put the zero? Or, well, what do you mean you multiply it by the ones? Because the way we learned it was just steps. You just got to multiply 4 times 7, 4 times 5, 2 times 7, and 2 times 5. That's how it goes. And that's, although that there's a process and there's a concept behind all of this, that's what I want you to focus on, just the steps. If you can get through the steps, then when you master the steps, then we can maybe expand and understand why we're putting that zero, or why we carry the numbers. So don't try to get it soon or right now in this moment. I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you, can you get the steps down? Because I've seen that you understand 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication, but can you get the steps down? So that's what we need to practice on. And remember, it's constant practice. It's being exposed to it. It's doing activities. It's doing everything that you're doing. Just continue to practice, okay? So the first step in partial product and standard algorithm and even area model, multiply the ones by the ones. Multiply the ones by the ones. We're going up. So Susie goes up. And 4 times 7 is 28, right? So if you think about it, 28. The 2 is in the tens place, the 8 is in the ones. So I'm going to write 8 right here in my ones place. And I'm going to carry the 2 like addition. We always have done this. Just carry the 2. Okay? So 28, because we can't fit the 2 in the ones place. That's like a no-brainer. And then I was about to sing Justin Bieber's no-brainer, but I stopped myself. And then we multiply ones by tens. So we multiply across 4 times 5, which is 20. And you cannot forget about our little guy up here. When 4 times 5 is 20. But we're going to add, and I forgot to add the 2. Don't forget to do the little addition. Add the 2. So 20 plus 2 is 22. Probably ran out of room. I hope I didn't run out of room. We'll see. And then we're going to do tic-tac-toe. And I'm going to get the black marker. Well, I don't have the black marker, so I'm going to do brown. And we're going to mark out the ones, tic-tac, because we don't need to worry about that one. And write our placeholder. Right? Because we're done multiplying by the ones. So don't worry about that. You just write that 0, okay? If you don't get it, what I mean. And then we multiply the tens by the ones. The same process, the same thing as partial product. 2 times 7, which is 14. So I'm going to write the 4 here, right? And carry it. Add the 1. And a lot of you don't understand it, but remember, we're just that we're not multiplying 2 times 7, we're multiplying 20 times 7, which gives me 140. Okay? But don't worry about it. Just write the 4 here and carry that 1. And then we multiply the tens by the tens. So 2 times 5 gives me 10. But don't forget that 1. We're adding the 1 plus 1 gives me 11. So I'm going to write 11, right? And I'm going to add it up. You can't see, but I have a cute little addition sign right there. It's cute. And then we're going to add them up. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 2 plus 4 is 6. 2 plus 1 is 3. And bring down the 1. And so my product is 1,368. And that is my product. Just remember the steps and use the steps to guide you, okay? Adding that 0 and multiplying the ones by the ones. The same steps as partial product, but now we're just combining the numbers. We're not breaking them up, but we're keeping them there. So it's just practice, practice, practice. Remember the steps, use the steps, and multiply using standard algorithm, okay? Because sooner or later, by the end of the year, for sure, you will all be masters. Use your multiplication chart, use the numbers that I have on my wall, practice using standard algorithm, practice it, get 1 or 2 problems, solve it out, and then use area model or partial product to see if you're correct, right? You can check using the strategies, but practice, practice, practice. Use the steps that I give you and use that, okay? Do not get too caught up in trying to understand. You are going to understand, and I promise you I'm going to lead you there to understanding what is going on. But we'll get there step by step, right? We're not trying to rush. We're not trying to be at the end of the line or the finish line. But it's a journey, and you have to embrace the journey and embrace that it's a process and it doesn't happen overnight. So just practice, 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 okay? Practice your facts, practice using standard algorithm. This is what I want you to focus on. And then use the other strategies to check your work. But remember that anything you do, take your time, work on it, be very diligent and be very efficient and be committed to your work, okay? Because there's no purpose in you completing one of the assignments, turning it in on Friday, and then I grade it and I can't, you don't do it well. And I know you can because all of you are scholars and all of you are intelligent. So remember, give me your best effort and I promise you, you will never be disappointed. Practice, and if you have any questions, write it down on a sticky note, write it down on a paper, and then give them to me tomorrow. And remember, you have your benchmark tomorrow, so you're all going to do fantastic. I believe it, and I know it, and don't fear. Go in confident. Believe in yourself because I believe in you. So have a wonderful day. Be good to the sub. Listen to the sub. And remember that it is our character that we're constantly trying to improve, right? So let her see the good that is in you. But that is all for today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Love y'all.